Yo guys, how's it going? Pretty good. It is Sunday, we are back to Ragnar. This is going to be awesome. Love this dude. Quality mini. Really, really good mini. Going to be working predominantly on the armour tonight. It's such a massive part of the miniature. I really want to get that underway. So, on the last stream, painted some yellow. As you can see, we have a really nice, vibrant yellow. Worked out from orange. Looks banging. Big fan of that. We did both the shoulder pad and Frostfang. Love the way that's come out. Very quick to do. Very easy with an airbrush to get an absolute pure yellow. Super simple. We then did the cloak. And as you can see, we've gone from an extremely vibrant yellow to a full-on, in-your-face red. Absolutely a fan of that. And then because we had time, we started working on the armor plates of Ragnar himself. We've kept that high contrast look that we're always going for. Got some nice bright areas on him. Haven't done too much of the highlights around the back, so obviously that massive cape will probably cover up the vast majority of this, but this is what we're going to be working on tonight. The armor, including the backpack, this little piece just in here, and then of course the glove holding Frostfang. So that's what we're going to be doing. How is everybody? How has your weekend been? Mine has been predominantly filled of work, but we did manage to get one of our Ghost Arcs complete. It's not fully stuck together yet, but I will show you. Probably got about another 2 to 3 hours, if that, on the rest of the project. Let's zoom right out. You can see this guy in all of its majesty. So we replaced the guns on the side here with this light up bar. We've added in front guns from a Tomb Blade, and then we've got these cables coming down holding what is currently the bodies of some immortals with death marks. These aren't glued down just yet. This guy's still twisting around, as you can see. But I think this looks absolutely epic. Is there an issue? No, it shouldn't be an issue with the sound. Everything looks fine from this end, put it that way. So, if it does, let me know. Acol says sound is fine. Okay, there's maybe with you then, possibly a loose connection perhaps. Who knows, dude? Speaking of Majesty, what do you think about Silent King and a Void Dragon? Well, I've already got a commission lined up for both of those two minis, so that should tell you exactly what I think about that. They are awesome. The Void Dragon is probably my favourite model in the range so far. Silent King looks good, but he's a little bit sort of over the top. Whereas the Void Dragon just looks awesome. Silent King's two little gimpy monoliths I'm not so in love with. The rest of it, so good. So good. That Void Dragon, man, that's where it's at. Definitely where it's at. So in the chat, we got the Crooked Gring, Viking, Dez, Acold, Hertus, George, Big Brom. Hope you guys are doing well. Like I said, we're going to do the armor, so let's get on with it. Now, we've got two things that we can do from this point, essentially. Actually, before we do that, exclamation point Judy, J-U-D-I, and exclamation point Score, S-K-O-R. Let's see where we're at in our naming surveys. The little, what do you call it? Straw polls. That's it. Vacation after all? Awesome, dude. Glad to hear it, man. You deserve it. You work hard. So, for those of you that don't know what this is about, on the release date for the brand new Indominatus box, we're going to paint the Judicia, not Judica, Judicia, and the Scorpeth Lord in colour schemes decided by you guys. You guys, as a community, voted those two would be the models we paint. Not only are we going to paint both of those two models in colour schemes decided by you guys, which you can go ahead and vote on now, This is good. I like the result so far. But not going to do that. We're going to raffle those guys off. So one lucky winner will choose either the Judicia or the Scorpeth Lord. He'll win that painted mini. Our second winner will win the other one. But both winners will win the rest of that faction out of the box, brand new on sprue, just given away. So enjoy that. You will have the start of a brand new Space Marine army or a brand new Necron army. Let's have a look. So for the Judicia, currently the votes are speaking to me that the Ultramarine is how it's going to be painted. I know there's plenty of Smurf players here in the chat. This is not a meme vote. This is a good one. I understand this. The Johnsonator. What up, man? Oh, that's terribly good. So currently, Ultramarine in first place. If you want to see it painted as something different, exclamation point Judy, head in here, get your votes down. Dark Angels and Black Templars are right up there, and Sons of Medusa, which is maybe my personal favourite out of all of these. Maybe. It's a bright green, man. I love that shit. They're right there at the top. If you want it to be an Ultramarine, go and vote for your Ultramarines before you get outvoted. For the Scorpeth Lord, this is my favourite. The Gypsy Dangercrons are currently in the lead. So that is a Necron painted in the colour scheme of Gypsy Danger from Pacific Rim films. I really, really, really want to paint him like that. Really want to paint him like that. In second place, the Lozzacrons, aka got fucked up at a 90s rave crons. And then we are well behind for anybody else. There's another vote for that Gypsy Danger Cron. Love you, whoever you were. So there's those two votes going on. As always, tonight being Sunday, we will unveil the first of our 3 giveaway prizes. Now the mystery box, exclamation point mystery, has not changed. Ragnar was the model that was chosen out of the 3. So the thing that is in this box from last month is still in there. Whatever this mini is, it's still there. Let's see what it sounds like. There's definitely something rattling in there. I mean, I don't know what it is. Well, obviously, I know what it is, but you don't know what it is. Could be anything. Could be limited edition Space Marine models. Could be potentially unreleased models. Could be a scenic base. Outer box not included. Fuck right, outer box not included. That's one of my favourite cigar boxes. We're definitely keeping that. But at 10 o'clock, we're going to unveil the first of our 3 prizes. You know that one, obviously. So it'll be the second one that you know of. Hang on a minute. DCHS Knight. Thank you for that follow. So this dyslexia just went straight in on that. I had no chance of reading it. It could be a pair of J's anywhere. No, because the stipulation is that it's a model, and in underwear, I do not look like a model. That's it. Hello from California. Damn, man. How you doing? That's a long way to say hello from. I hope you shouted that loud. How's Cali treating you? So, armor. We've got 2 choices. We can either go with a really, really dark black wash, essentially, for the recess shading. Or we can go with strong tone. Hot and crazy. So that's just a regular Sunday, right? I don't know which one I want to go for, so I'm going to let the chat decide. Either one works. One of them obviously gives a super aggressive shadow. Black line in that. Using the other one just softens it just a little bit. It's going to help as well when we start adding in things like the wolf pelts, the gold for around his championship belt. Clearly, Ragnar won the WWF. He's got a championship belt going strong. Things like pouches, like he's got his holster and so on. So brown helps harmonize some of those things. Mix it, can do. Could go for a super dark brown. That's obviously an option. But I thought I'd give you guys the choice. Let me know what you think in the chat. Just going to make sure we've got a little bit more painting out. I've got Necrons all over my desk right now. Mostly Necrons. Some of it is just shot glasses with blue tacked paper clips, but mostly Necrons. Johnson says the darker one. Peckish says strong tone. It is Peckish's mini. Maybe we should go with that. Des says dark tone. Brom says mix. All of the options coming on. Tell you what. Normally got one around here somewhere. We have dice for it. So on a 1 or a 2, dark tone. On a 5 or a 6, strong tone. On a 3 or 4, we mix. We mix it. There was about average representation in the chat for both. George says, is it offcuts from your Mohawk? No. Although, you know, if somebody specifically wants some of my Mohawk, that's just weird. And you can't have it. Shot glass is best paint handler? Absolutely. None of this hobby holder GW stuff. You know why? Because once you've finished your mini, you can have a victory drink. That makes so much more sense. Let's get these nice and mixed together. And now I got a super, super dark brown. Speaking of Mohawk, did the yellow come out alright after marathon stream? Yeah, man, easy. Like, I washed it twice just to be sure I got all of it out, but on the after the first one, I'm reasonably sure it was all gone. But apparently acrylic ink's easy to wash out. So, first things first, we've just got to panel line everything. Now, ordinarily, I'd do this with oil paints, but we did say when I started painting this guy, we're going to do every part of him as an acrylic mini. So, there's been no gloss varnish off stream ready to get these locked in, which means you've just got to be a little bit more careful than using an oil. Unlike an oil, where you have reduced the surface tension by use of the thinner, by use of that gloss varnish. And don't get me wrong, you could gloss varnish it to make this part of your life easier. But I decided as we're not going to go with the oils, we don't need that that protection from the aggressive cleanup operation that may then happen. We just reduce the amount of coats of paint on the mini and just cut that one out. I have no idea what George is talking about. It was good for me, man. It was definitely good for me. Right, on these rivets, just give it a quick wash over the top of each one. Not looking to get like massive coffee stain rings or anything like that on this. Just want to get a nice little shadow on all of them. Now for these bits, we're just going to paint the entire thing over because we're going to be painting everything on top of this as well. And for now, it's just going to help break up the parts of the mini to make it easier for you guys to see what's going on. So tricks to panel lining. Zen, how you doing, man? Crazy Youngsters, I got a friendly game on Wednesday, but I fear my list is too optimized. Okay. Well, if you know that it's too optimized, then you're obviously someone that's aware enough to know how to unoptimize your list. So just remove some of the cool stuff and throw in some basic troops or some somewhat points inefficient units from your army. You'll be fine. Rocky! How you doing, fella? I'm looking forward to that Magnus, man. That was a really productive conversation we had the other day. Talking about how we're going to do that. Very much looking forward to it. Just need to find a base. Just need to find a base. Finding bases in 100 mil is tricky. Now, Peckish, did you want battle damage on this? You said you did, right? You wanted a bit of weathering going on. You wanted him to look like he's been in the fray. Can't find no bases. I think it's going to have to be a sculpting job, man. So we can do it. We could invest in some green stuff rollers, perhaps. And we can build. Battle damage for the win, absolutely, man. How much battle damage are we talking? Are we talking like had a bad day? Are we talking one guy got lucky? Or are we talking like full-on nightmare mode from Doom? These are important questions. Yes, they do. Yeah, Element Games have started stocking a lot of Green Stuff World products. Got my email about that the other day. Makes my life a lot easier because the Green Stuff World stuff you have to buy in from overseas, which is, I believe, Portugal. But it might be that they're from Poland. I know one of the companies I used to use a lot was from Poland, but I'm relatively sure Green Stuff World is Portugal. And obviously shipping, bit of a bitch, but it is what it is. Right, I'm not too worried about his feet. We're going to get some weathering powders down on this. Oh, it could have been Spain, yeah. Not nightmare mode, but like hard/expert mode. Okay. So I'm assuming there's no IDDQD cheat code being used, right? He's not gone God mode. So let's get a little wash down on there. We're going to use powders, like I said, on his underside of his boots. But let's just darken that down super quick with that wash. Can you stuff worry about eBay storage Spain? There we go. Yeah, use a lot of their stuff. And obviously that now being stocked at EG. It's good for me, man. If you guys want to check out that !element in the chat, follow the link. It is an affiliate link, so obviously I'll make a little bit on what you're purchasing, but it's no additional cost to you. It's a great way to support the stream because you get to have more toys to go and put in the whip gallery later on. Tire rollers are good. Anything that rolls over tile I feel is quite good. Oh wait, you didn't mean it like that, did you? Oh. No, I've never used one, but they do look very, very cool. I was using their tentacle maker the other day. That is absolutely baller. Love that. Super useful bit of kit. Right, there we go. So you see where we're going with this. Just got the rest of the mini to do. It's going to take a while. It's one of those things that is not necessarily the most interesting part of any hobby operation, but for the interest of doing this guy on stream so you guys can see every brush stroke, kind of had to leave it till now. The trick is to make sure that the wash that you're using, whether it's one that you've made or it's a wash product that you've bought, is kept relatively thin so it helps flow off your brush very easily, very smoothly. I didn't think it was that funny, but alright. But yeah, make sure your wash is nice and fluid. Make sure your brush has got a nice sharp point on it. And if you do make a mistake, and this is why I asked the question about battle damage, don't fret too much because you can always either tidy it up with a highlight or it becomes battle damage. Almost all hobby crimes solvable by battle damage. I put affiliate links in YouTube comments as well. I definitely should. You're absolutely right. I should. I should put the element stuff in there. When we were doing anything with Rival Craft stuff, I always put their link in. But if I'm honest, that's mostly to try and drive more business to Sarah. So speaking of which, oh, this is exciting as well, guys. This is super good. This may very well be a world first. World first. As long as things arrive on time, we might be doing a special stream on Tuesday and not painting Ragnar. Now, Peckish, I appreciate. Straight away, you're going to be like, well, hang on a minute. I want to see my Toy Soldier be painted. What the fuck is this? other stream bullshit. Well, son, don't you worry. Don't you worry. Still get Ragnar finished for you. But on Tuesday, as long as everything's arrived, I will be premiering a new product from Rival Crafts. Nobody else has got this. Nobody else. And from what I can work out, and from what Sarah's told me, this product isn't something that she's now selling or she's now creating, but it's something that nobody else does. At all. Nobody does. This is a brand new thing to market. So this is super exciting. And not only am I going to be using that product for the very first time on stream, this brand new thing that no one else has got, but we'll also, as is tradition here, be giving some away. Viking, no, it definitely isn't that. So yeah, something to look forward to for Tuesday. We're obviously going to be doing some sort of base at that stage. Clearly that's going to be what happens, because this is Rival Crafts we're talking about. The premier basing materials supplier and producer in the UK, as far as I'm concerned. There we go, Tuesday night. Another giveaway, an unplanned giveaway. And a brand new thing to show off to you guys. Get you hyped. You're going to be poor forever? Yeah, man. Yeah. So, I've managed to talk my local into making sure I've got an Indomitus box, which I will be able to pick up prior to Saturday. As long as their delivery is in by then, obviously, that being the case. Which means I will have plenty of time to assemble the Judicia. Keep on calling it Judicar, but I know it isn't right. The Judicia and the Scorpeth Lord. Get some sub-assemblies going on, obviously, because we're going to need that. Because whilst painting 118 Nurgle Demons in a weekend was a tough challenge, not going to lie, that was a lot of work and a lot of planning went into that to make sure that everything went the way it should have done. And fortunately for me, the way that it did, all that planning paid off. We were good. But whilst that was a tough challenge, painting 2 minis I've never ever painted before to character standard in 2 days on stream, that's a rough one. That is a rough one. I mean, just think, we've spent 3 hours nearly so far, because we went a little over the last stream, and we didn't do a work in progress either on Raggy. We're not even close to done. We'd have to do that on 2 minis in that time frame without cutting any corners. And by like cutting corners, I'm saying like we're going to use oil washes and things like that, which are a natural way of cutting down on time that you spend. Rocky says, "What's a sub-assembly?" It's a thing that clever hobbyists use, Rock, and you should maybe think about looking into that yourself. It's definitely something that I would strongly suggest for you. And you'll one day come around to this way of thinking. Possibly after a stint in an asylum. Wow, lots of people in the chat here like, what's a sub-assembly? Like, well, Ragnar's in sub-assemblies right now. It's when you don't put the entire model together and then you paint it to make your life easier. Anyone that's ever painted Mortarion, for instance, will know sub-assemblies. Definitely the way. Isn't that right, Fish? Isn't that right? Sergeant Xenotech, what up, dude? We're doing well, how are you? Talk to sub-assemblies. One of my friends has fully assembled Cesaras. He's going to be full of regret. Yep. One of my friends is somebody in a WhatsApp group that I'm in, but I've known him for a couple of years. He bought Cesaras and was slightly perturbed by this. These are two things I've never ever seen on a Games Workshop mini. Has anyone ever had a sprue arrive? The box is in perfect condition. Had a sprue arrive, and the sprue has had parts of the mini broken on it. I've never had that. I've seen a couple of boxes with like a missing bit, you know, where it just hasn't been cast on the sprue, or a couple of boxes where a bit has been miscast and so it's like a blob and it hasn't got all the detail. But I've never seen one where part of it was broken. Unless, of course, the box has been damaged, in which case all bets are off, right? A gorilla stood on it. And by a gorilla, I mean probably someone called Clive that works in the shipping department. If there is a Clive that works in the shipping department, I'm sure he's a lovely man and not a gorilla, but, you know, whatever. That was one of two things. The second thing was I've never, ever seen a sprue arrive that has blood on it. That's a weird one. So obviously we all advised him to take it back. Of course, he hasn't actually followed that advice, which is dumb. But I would definitely have said, look, hang on a minute, guys. There's something wrong here. Can I please have one without the biohazard? Just that's all I want. Just no biohazard. So someone was murdered with that box. There was definitely a fight over Cesaras. You know, one person at least was injured minorly. So yeah, that's a weird one. Sergeant Xenotech back after a 1 month extra timeout. My girlfriend wanted. Well, hey, at least you're back now, dude. How did you find it? No lecky. And I'm assuming this is. We used electricity for things like cooking, heating, lights. You know, maybe charging of the phone. Perhaps. But I'm also guessing that this was no video games, no TV, that sort of thing, right? I think a bit of a challenge. More if we need to get on the no sub-assembly train. It's nice when you get used to it. Fuck no, dude. I did that for years. So for years and years and years, I stubbornly painted minis that were fully assembled. And my rationale behind it was, I'd like the plastic cleat to have a really good, strong hold. That's what we want. I don't want my minis to run the risk of falling apart. And then I painted a mini with sub-assemblies, and I never looked back. Some of the giveaway ones we've done without sub-assemblies, just because I wanted you guys to see the mini that we were obviously giving away in its full glory. And then I realised, hang on a minute, fuck that noise. Look, that's a dumb idea. Let's just blue tack them together instead. It's amazing the difference that makes. Try thinking, meh, 770 folk are dumb, I want my glue to be solid, and there I was wrong. Yep. Viking needs that runic roller. Could very well be something that ends up in my shopping cart as well, man. So the way we got started on that conversation earlier on was, I'm doing a commission for Rocky. I'm going to paint Magnus the Red for him. We're going to do a very, very unusual colour scheme for Magnus the Red. We're going to do Magnus the Blue, a la the old school. And for people that remember this in the chat, I love you. Super old school, epic 40k skized Magnus the Red, where he was the blue Cyclops with the fiery red hair. That's what we're going to do. We're going to do Magnus the Blue. Seen the new paints? I have. Well, let me rephrase that. I haven't seen GW's like official statement about them yet. Haven't seen that. But squat-sized ones? What? Give me a link. Someone send me a link. But yes, I know what the new paints are and so on. But I haven't seen any of the official GW things. I know they have been talking about their paints recently, though. Metal figures only, no regrets. Dude, I played for many, many years using just metal minis. Warhammer Fantasy Battle back in the day, all the armies I wanted to paint had metal minis. Then I painted the Skaven army and it was all plastic, bar a couple of key things. I was like, oh my god, this is so much easier to carry. My 5,000 points vampire count, Simon, it weighs legitimately 12 kilos. Fuck that. Did you hear any more of Angry Miniature Warhog? There are no screens anymore. Damn. No, I didn't. That's unfortunate. That guy used to come and raid every now and again. He was a good dude. Do you know what happened? Did you just call it in, or? Comrade Cern, what up, dude? How you doing? This is what you're saying about the bass. I was cooking a ribeye, the stovetop was louder. I can totally understand that, man. And let's be fair, a lot more exciting at that point. Love me a ribeye. That's the one proper cut of steak. Anything else is... Apart from a T-bone, which I think you guys in the US call a porterhouse, where you get the 2 steaks and then a nice T-shaped bone, hence why we call it a T-bone. Wolf's going to break the enemies of the Empire. Oh yeah, man. Over his knee. Just lift him in the air and then backbreaker straight away. Yeah, for sure. I always want to make sure everyone's good on Twitch. I know. Oh no! I knew his Twitch handle until I literally just opened my mouth. Houndstooth Minis. God, we raided him a lot. He stopped streaming on Twitch. He just wasn't enjoying it so much. So yeah, there's another quality streamer. Not there anymore. It's a shame. But hey, maybe I'll come back. Life is one of those things where you sort of go through everything. So, Porthouse. T-bone's a different cut. Ah, okay. So what do you guys call a T-bone? To anyone new to the stream, half of the stream is normally me talking about food or painting. The rest of it could be anything. But those are the two main topics right here: is food and paints. Alright, just got a little bit more one arm to do, and then the chest, and then this part of Raggy is done. Distracting too much from commission work. I think that was part of it. And he's not wrong, because it really does. Like right now, I should either be painting those Necrons or those planes. And I'm doing neither of those two things, so... Steak is probably your favourite meal, or crows in bathrooms. It was the kitchen, but yes, well remembered. Jay with a fucking towel over his head. It was weird. But hey, the stream is always entertaining at that point. And snatch quotes. Yeah. Yeah, not just Snatch. Any good movie. Any good movie. So, Hot Fuzz. We do Hot Fuzz quotes. fairly often, I suppose. What do you mean you didn't ever jump through the air with 2 guns going, ah? You're telling me you ain't seen Bad Boys 2? I had a friend who had never seen Bad Boys 2, and I said that to him every single time I saw him until he eventually watched that movie. And Luke was the kind of person that would watch every single action movie at the movies. And yet he somehow missed Bad Boys 2. He's also the kind of person that would watch every single adult movie he could get his hands on. I once helped him move house, and I have never ever felt so unclean in my entire life. This was horrible. Rock up at like 9 in the morning, ready to help him move. He's not rented a van because he's actually only moving like a street, the length of a street. He's gone from like a corner right in the middle of town to a street just 1 row out of town because the rent was a lot cheaper. Alright, cool, that makes sense. We'll help you move. So we just carried all of his stuff. So we started off with all the big heavy items, just so, you know, while we were relatively fresh in the morning, we'll get all those out of the way. So we did the sofa, the bed, the TV, because it was an old, like, CRT TV, big fucking TV. Got all that done. And then it was all the kitchen equipment. And then it was just cartons of stuff. So I think it was a carton of DVDs, and I'm like, fucking hell, mate, how many DVDs do you own? And then I thought, we only moved 1 set of, like, DVD shelves, like, set of shelves for D&Ds. Like, how many fucking, where'd you keep all these DVDs? So I opened the box. That's a lot of porn. Whew. That's a lot of porn. It was there was everything in there. There was, like, you could see like 7 or 8 discs from the top, right? The boxes of discs, obviously, and not all of it was the kind of regular stuff you'd search for if you were so inclined. Let's leave it at that. But I asked him about it, and he says whenever he sees an interesting video, something that he didn't realise was a particular fetish or something, he has to buy it out of curiosity. Whatever floats your boat. He said, yeah, I've got one of that too. So, whew. It was... you're right, I should not have opened that box. I should definitely not opened that box. But after spending all day moving things that he sat on or slept on, no. Pandora's box, yeah, I did not let hope out into the world. It was the other thing. That was definitely despair. So yeah. Brilliant fish. He just said his dad bought a copy of Escort back when he was maybe 12 and said, here boy, get a load of that and put it at the table in front of his mum. Found in a field. Oh dear. Just cleaning up some of the overspill from that wash. Got on his collar there. He needs a nice clean dog collar, does Raggy. You know, can't be going to the kennels covered in shit. So yes, when you're helping friends move house, don't ask, don't look. It's not a Christmas present. Don't try feeling it to see if you can guess what it is. None of that. Wow. Except that's not good because nobody wants to hear their sister, you know, moaning and groaning. Kareem, how you doing, man? I saw your Instagram. You were setting up your gaming club down there in London. Looked good, dude. Looked good. And Maladeus, how you going? Stream is indeed on, my friend. Every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday, live at 9. Happy Sunday. Good God, that is so tasty. Proper sip of beer. Fuck yes, mate. Fuck yes. Get that Stein going on. That was one of my favourite things in Prague. Like, after the event, I was shattered. It was a lot of work. And I was the guy that was on his feet all the time, being table boss. So Mikey and Elliot was sat doing the commentary. Mikey, by the way, hates the phrase shoutcasting. So use that as often as you can. AJS Wargaming, get in that sub, you absolute boss. Let's get a shout out for him. If you don't already follow this guy, if you're into your historical minis, if you like something that's a little bit different from what we paint here, definitely give that guy a follow and throw him out some support as well. Awesome dude. That was the Iron event. Oh, you mean Iron? That was hilarious. But anyway, it was sat in Prague, like in Praha, right in the middle, in a hotel beer garden opposite the clock. So you could tell what time it was by when the square filled up with tourists, basically. That's quarter to the hour. But these guys would come into the square and they'd all sit, and I got a decent view of the clock every single time from where I was sat, so I wasn't bothered. But beer came in steins. This is a large glass. This is a good-sized pint glass. This is a good glass. But a stein of beer is 2 pints in one glass. And I was like, right, I'm going to order a stein, because fuck yeah. Still want a base explanation? That's fine, mate. We'll get there in a roundabout, slightly sticky way. When that came out, I thought I'd made a mistake. That was a lot of beer all in one spot. There were many healthy sips of that. Right, Rocky, basing. So like I said, we're going to need to create our own base. We're not going to be able to buy one. Because apparently finding a 100mm diameter base that's pre-sculpted is absolutely impossible. It cannot be done. I have tried various different websites. Cybor, Cromlech. I didn't try Elrix, just on the off chance, actually. You might have better luck with that. Elrix Hobbies. That's another good basing supplier. That one's out there in the US. Didn't try those, but think your parents are disappointed you drank Stein, or they stole the Stein, or both. So if we do have to create a base, that's fine. We can definitely sculpt something. I've got some ideas in mind for what we can do. We need to buy a green stuff roller. So Green Stuff World recently started supplying Element. So we've got somewhere in the UK we can buy that sort of stuff now, which is great. But we can explore that as an option. You always got to keep the Stein if you can down the whole thing in under a minute. Okay. Damn. Well done, dude. Could you then cycle in a straight line? Because I can't do that sober. Not really. So doing that after 2 pints in 60 seconds, you know, there would be some definite consequences of me doing that. Right, there is our backpack done. Got the hand to do, and then that's all of the pin washing, and it's currently taken 45 minutes. It's a lot. It's a lot. Cool, man. Like, if I'm honest, the sculpting part of the base, we're probably looking at about 50 quid. So have a look around. If you can find something that you like that is cheaper than that, go for it. It's the sort of thing I'm not very good at, which means it takes longer, hence the cost, because the quality won't be skimped, it will just take me half of forever. And don't worry about paying for things like the roller and so on, and you know, any of that kind of stuff. And obviously part of that cost is materials, milliput, green stuff, all that jazz. I'm a lightweight, I get pissed off 4 cans of beer. To be fair, mate, if I drank 4 cans of the beer I'm drinking now, I'd be shit-faced. But it is 9%, so... I'm also the kind of person that just drinks 1 beer and I'm kind of happy. Everything, like... See you next tourney, Bumper GJ. 3-second bottle of wine, happy days. Sunday, Monday, mate. Definitely some happy days there. Have you got no gullet or something then? Because I used to go to school with a guy whose brother had no... Like, he didn't have to swallow, he could just like tilt his head back and it would just be a continuous stream all the way down. So, bam. Awesome, man. We'll have a look later on. Right, let's get in here on his hand, and then we are donesies with the pin washing. Right, happy days. So now, let's start. Kareem, the best thing to do is to wait overnight if you can. Let it cure before you do anything else. If you're in a rush, bust out the hairdryer, just get that shit done, right? We're going to start on the battle damage before we start on the armor highlights. Now, there's 2 good reasons for that. The first one is we can use our battle damage now to cover up any of the mistakes, any parts of that pin wash wasn't quite on target. No issues. The second one is to make our realistic battle damage, we're going to apply our highlight just underneath it and help give it a 3D effect. So that's what we're going to do now. To do the battle damage, because we've done all of the pin washing in a dark brown, that's exactly what we're going to do for the damage. So let's grab one of my favourite browns, which is this purple. The new one I've got. Cachan Flesh. It's a really nice colour, I like this a lot. Did it at 1 PM. Yeah, you'll be good, dude. You'll be good. Brilliant. Brilliant. No, I have got a gullet. I was just really, really thirsty and I wanted to win the class. Like we do the Orc match, paint the dark line underneath it. Dark line goes above it. So I'll show you now. Let's get a little bit of the highlight colour we're going to use, which is this. The Fenrisian Grey. Now I know this is the last highlight we used through the airbrush, and we used that almost pure, but because we're going to be painting it on by hand, it's going to go on a little bit more opaque, and therefore we'll have a bit more coverage, which means it will be a brighter colour by the time we've finished. So not worried about it bleeding in and stuff like that. Let's get some battle damage on his knee pad, for instance. That's a good place to start. So there's 2 kinds of battle damage that we'll be applying. We'll be doing some, which will be a almost sort of stippled, broken shape, where there's just sort of scuff marks. Best not to ask why Russ has got scuffed knees, but not Russ. What's his name? Ragnar. You may not want the answer. Space doggos can follow through to the logical conclusion of that. Mohawk was in the way. Mohawk's always in the way, man. There we go. So we've got some scuff marks on his knee. Now you can do this with a sponge. is quicker with a sponge, but I don't think it looks anything like as good, because you'll start to get patterns in it, and it will go in places that you don't want it to, and it won't go in places that you do want it to. So let's say you want to get into this recess under here, well, you're never going to get a sponge in that gap. It just won't work that way. So let's go full zoom. There's some chips. Now I'm going to paint some lines underneath that using this Fembridgian grey. Now, to answer your question, Maladeus, do you use a wet palette? If so, yes. If so, why? Sorry. I think you added more words to that sentence than needed to be. That confused me a little bit. So, yes, I use a wet palette. I've used a wet palette for years, and I don't use some like fancy one from like Redgrass Games or anything along those sorts of lines. Ah, shit, wrong button. That was such a mistake. Balls. It's the back button. Damn it. Ah, what is going on? There we go. Sorry, for some reason we've got a little object showing on the HTML output just here, which won't normally be there. I'm trying to work out what's causing it. I think it's the focus box. I don't know why it's suddenly there. There we go. Got rid of that. Don't know why that came up. Targeting system engaged. Yes, you're absolutely right, it was. So I use a wet palette. Autofocus is off. If you turn autofocus on, you don't get an HDMI output at all. I use a wet palette simply because it helps keep your paint alive for longer. So when you're painting and you've got a lot of blends going on, you want to kind of keep them going. It's nothing more annoying than going to grab some paint off your palette and finding that the palette is completely bone dry, and that you can no longer use that colour, and you've got to remix it or add a load of water which dilutes it down. It changes the way it interacts with the mini and your paintbrush, and so on and so forth. When I paint, I want to spend my time, effort and energy painting and not mixing paint. So what we're doing now is we're taking a very, very, very small amount of that blue, and we're just placing it underneath each of these scratches. And the reason it goes underneath is because if you've dented something, like we've obviously got here with these bits of realistic battle damage, you've got a concave shape, right? So the light will glint off the one surface of it that is that underline. So by adding these in there, as you can see, we get some battle damage that looks 3D. We know it's not, it's just painted on. No part of this has been carved into the mini. We haven't attacked it with a drill or a hobby knife or anything like that. It's just slotted in there. So we'll go back to some brown paint. This time we'll add a scratch or two. Just coming in from the side. We want the thinnest part of our line to be where the brush makes initial contact with the mini, and the thickest part out of the edge. Let's get two lines in there. Do you use anything specific for palette? Tried with just a thin layer of wet paint out if it is a bit too absorbent. So here's my wet palette. There's a car body sponge, some paper towel, and then some parchment paper on top. That sponge means that this palette can hold a lot of water. And every single time I change the top sheet, we give the palette a little refresh with some water. And then probably once a month or so, give it a real clean. Because obviously bacteria will build up, and there's something you can do to help stop that, is chuck a couple of copper coins in the bottom of your wet palette. That'll help just slim down the chances of any kind of bacterial build up. And then when you clean it, obviously use a strong antibacterial agent. You could use bleach, obviously, you know, anything like that. And there we go. Now we've got a couple of scratches in there, which again, because of that little highlight underneath, start to look 3D. So 5 to 10, 5 minutes before we unveil our first miniature. So the first of 3 minis for this month's giveaway. You know the mystery box hasn't changed since last time. Does it feel like paint gets absorbed away? No, not really, mate. Like the colours that I've put on earlier today, still working absolutely fine. If I was to walk away and leave it for a week, then yeah, they dissipate. They lose a lot of their moisture. That's fine though, because if I haven't used it in a week, I'm probably going to need to use it relatively soon. I'm not the kind of painter that keeps a wet palette per project going and leaves it in a fridge and things like that, which helps prolong its lifespan a bit. I know a couple of artists that are Golden Demon winners that do that sort of thing, because they'll work on one blend and they'll want that blend to be absolutely perfect for forever. But equally, a lot of these painters are people that are using like Redgrass Games palettes and stuff like that, where they have a bit more of a vested interest in what they're doing. For me, if I'm going to paint something, on my palette I've got some purple, for instance, I used for OSL earlier on. That'll still be good tomorrow when I finish off the rest of these Necrons on my lunch break. Oh shit, no, not lunch break. Lunch break I'm going to the post office. Every single time I've been to the post office in the last week, because it's part of a co-op, right? If you're not from the UK, a co-op is like a small supermarket chain. And in my local town, that's also where the post office is. It's part of the building. Just painting in these little bits of cord brown, keep them a nice neutral colour. Anyway, every time I've been to try and post out the giveaway parcels from last weekend, it's been absolutely jammed full. So tomorrow, I've got some face masks that turned up today, so we're going to wear a mask. Tomorrow, we'll just go down on lunch, stand in queue for as long as it effing takes to get these things sent. I'm so sorry they've taken so long, guys. I genuinely feel bad about it, but we just decided to go with a face mask and leave it at that. Alright, let's get some scuff marks on his shoes. Ragnar needs some new sketches, man. This one's got a hole in it. Get him around the toe cap where you'd imagine the most scuffing to be. Got that one little scrape there on his ankle guard, I guess. Notice how we're leaving the battle damage off from the inside part of his leg. You could go with like some more sort of this, like rubbing just along the edges here, and it's a good place for it because as Ragnar's thundering across the battlefield, you could make the argument that occasionally his armoured legs would come into contact with each other. I've never liked doing it though, simply because that feels like a really clumsy way for the Marine to move, and I'd rather he had a bit more of a sense of being agile and so on. This guy is a superhuman, he's transhuman. He's our next evolution given to us by the God Emperor of mankind himself, right? He should be able to run without being knock-kneed. And if not, I kind of want my money back on the next step of evolution. Loza! Yes, here she is! Darling, I've been waiting for you to get our PC back for God knows how long. You are finally up and running again, right? Ladies and gentlemen, the Queen of the Crons. Let's get a shout out for this absolutely epic streamer. Did you manage to get that airbrush? That's the real question. Epic. Absolutely epic. So, Loza, you are just in time. Just in time. let's have some exclamation point score, SKOR, in the chat in honor of Loz. An exclamation point Judy. It's 10 o'clock. We're going to have a quick promote. I'm even going to show you guys our first of 3 minis. We know we have the mystery box. There is a mini in here, locked up, actual latched down. This guy's not coming out. This is the mystery mini. Wasn't chosen last month. Last month's prize was Ragnar. So the guy that was in here, or gal, or scenic base, or bit of scenery, or limited edition mini, or whatever the fuck this might have been, still in here. Still in there. So that's one of our prizes. Exclamation point mystery for some more information about that. Now, Loza, you may not know this. When the new Indomitus box set comes out in about, 3 weeks? We're doing a giveaway. Well, we're doing a raffle, sorry. On the release weekend, we will paint the Judicia and the Scorpeth Lord, as chosen by the community, in colour schemes also chosen by the community. Now, for the Judicia, currently, as voted, Ultramarines are in the lead. Dark Angels are very, very close behind, though. Like, really close behind. So that's quite exciting. We've got a bit of a fight at the top. However, for our Scorpeth Lord, and if you win either of these 2 minis, not only do you win that mini having been painted by me over that weekend, you get the rest of that faction brand new on sprue from the box to paint yourself. For the Scorpeth Lord, we have these 2 right in close at the top. The first one, my favourite scheme, Gypsy Danger Crons. Necrons painted exactly like Gypsy Danger from Pacific Rim. Love that film. And the scheme currently in second is the Got Fucked Up at a 90s Rave Crons, aka Lozocrons. So we've been thinking about you, Loz. Yeah. And that is only 4 votes behind first place. So if you want to see a Lozocron Scorpeth Lord, get your votes in. If you want to see Gypsy Danger Cron, yes! Definitely get your votes in for that. Keep it in that number 1 spot. So, first place prize is either of those 2 minis. Your choice of the Judicia or the Scorpeth Lord and the rest of that faction. Second place prize is the other one and the rest of that faction. So make sure you're here for that release weekend stream. That is the weekend of the 25th. It's going to be epic. Our giveaway mini. We've got many to choose from. Outer Heart. Space Marine Terminator Chapter. Volvers, we've got some G-Stick Hold stuff. This is all good. We're liking that. Could be a Tag Commander. That's a good prize. That's a really good prize. But if I'm honest, the one I had my heart set on is a mini I've wanted to paint for a while. It has previously been in the giveaway. And I know that there's somebody in the chat right now that really wants this mini. Really wants this mini. It is, of course, the Blood Bowl Minotaur again. This guy is back. I really desperately want to paint him. So he is the first of our 3 minis. We've got this one. We know about the mystery prize. We're just waiting for that other to complete the 3. So this guy, back in the draw. You've got the option to win that Minotaur. Obviously great for Sigma, Blood Bowl, D&D campaigns, any of that kind of thing. This guy is epic. There he is. Rocky wants it. I know you want this model, dude. So he is back in, and good luck to you. The last stream day of this month will be Thursday, the 30th of July. And bear in mind, you've got plenty of time over that weekend of the 25th and 26th to get your meeps built up. Exclamation point win, where you could be winning a £50 voucher just for watching the stream. Why not, right? Why not? But let's get on with Raggy and his battle damage. Speaking of Necron, I don't know if you mentioned it earlier, but these are the Void Dragon Shard. So cool. Oh god, yes. I've already got a commission to paint both the Dragon Shard of the Catan and the Silent King. And it's going to be painted in the Bone Cron colour scheme that we've been working on here. Right, let's carry on working on some battle damage for Raggy. Now, we want to keep plenty of battle damage in there, but we're not going full Nightmare mode. We're on, what was all before? Hurt Me Plenty. We're on Hurt Me Plenty levels of battle damage. So most of the battle damage on this guy, you'd imagine, is on the front. Because to sneak in behind Ragnar with his crazy level Space Wolf senses, you have to be really, really, really good. And you got to imagine there's not too many people like that on the battlefield. So, we concentrate on the front. Also, the back going to be covered up quite a lot by that big old cloak of his. So, you know. Rocky, I'm afraid, no, it does not work that way. You've just got to be a sub, and you've just got to try and win. Got to keep it as fair as we can do, man. Otherwise, people are buying those minis. It doesn't really work that way. I also like the fact that anyone can win as well. You don't have to be here for a long ass time to win that mini. It's not rigged any time, dude. It's never been rigged. Although I will admit, I think the bot was fucked. So for the Meeps giveaway, where it would just spit out the same winner every time unless they weren't here. Which is why we changed the naming convention for any of our giveaways, just to stop that from being potentially at fault. You see what we're doing the battle damage though. It's really simple, it's really straightforward. It's just a case of drawing lines around the damage that we've got. This is where the paint is sort of peeled up from underneath. And this is another reason why we're doing the battle damage before we do just our general armor highlights. Because there's no point in us painting a highlight and then painting over it with some battle damage and so on, right? Oh, broccoli and Stilton soup. I like that. I do. Fish? Sit down, man. Get back in your box. Get back in your fish tank. Broccoli and Stilton soup's legit. Is it homemade? Because if not, I guarantee there's not enough cheese. Like, flat out guarantee there's not enough cheese. Alright, let's get some scars on his abs. Also, guys, don't forget, on Tuesday's stream, that's our next stream, we probably won't be doing Raggy. We might if things haven't arrived by then. But we probably won't be. What we will be doing, though, is showcasing a brand new product from Rival Crafts as a world first reveal. World first. No one's got these. No one's seen these. World first. We'll even have some to give away. So Tuesday night, an impromptu giveaway. It's going to be cool, man. It's going to be so, so cool. This is a thing. This is a product that literally does not exist on the market. Sarah is the only person to have created this. This is brand new. It's something that the miniature wargaming world has literally never seen. You're going to see it first right here. Yellow Mohawk tufts. She already does like a lemon yellow tuft. So no, that's there, and it's been done before as well, Viking. You know, it's just not special anymore. What can I say? Blue cheese on steak is actually the one place I don't think you should have blue cheese ever. I want my steak to taste like steak. However, as an accompaniment to steak, I do like mushrooms stuffed with blue cheese, and then just put under the grill for a little bit. Just long enough to let that mushroom get a little bit crispy around the sides. Oh yes. Gotta love that. Right, we've done one side of Ragnar already. See, this is quite a quick process. We're getting all those highlights in at the same time, so it's not like we're even to come back and do a load more work afterwards. Let's finish off this side of him, and then we've only got that side to do before we move on to the backpack. Again, we're not going to do a lot around the back, because most of it's going to be covered by the cape. You see it fits on there, it covers down through this side and comes up this side, so this will be exposed. So we'll do a little bit on there, but nothing crazy. We're also going to paint in a few bits and pieces on the Mini now that are things like pouches and bags and stuff like that. Also in brown. It's going to help keep our colour palette relatively muted. Don't want to do all of the crazy colours on this guy. We've already got a sword that is extremely bright yellow, a shoulder pad to match, a really vivid red cloak. This guy's got a lot of bling already. Wouldn't the cape get caught in a chainsaw? Yeah, but don't tell him that. And no capes! There's a reason they had that part of the film, Raggy. You're just shitting on their lore. A couple of tiny abrasions here. You see, we're trying to be real careful with the tip of our brush. A, because we don't want to ruin a perfectly beautifully pointed brush by stippling, which is essentially what we're doing right now. But also just to keep our brush pressure super light, which of course has the added benefit of making each of these little abrasions very small. Okay, hit all of these. Also, for anyone that does do any kind of video production, can anyone recommend any free-to-use, sorry, Mohawk's in the way, any free-to-use video editing software that would allow me to add audio to something? Anyone got any suggestions on that? The last thing I ever used was a copy of Sony Vegas 5, I think, that a friend of mine gave me. I can't tell you where he got it, but I don't think he bought it. But, you know, the old ask no questions, tell no lies adage came into that. Lord, I remember Sony Vegas, yeah, man. That was back in my days of doing StarCraft commentary, and that was some time ago now. Don't know why we bothered just painting that line in, because most of that one, I guarantee you I'll cover up with gold paint by accident. Knock off Nigel, brilliant. That actually isn't a cord, that is just part of his blooming belt anyway. He's got bits looped through it. Okay, fair. Fair. Premiere Pro, fair. Windows Movie Maker, God, I don't even know if that's still a thing, is it? Okay. we shall have a look around on Google. We got something delivered today, which I'm very excited about. Not enough time to play around with it and get it ready for tonight's stream, but new things. New things. Gotta love new things. Watch this space. Hoping we can get that ready for Tuesday night stream. Jesus Christ. Chipped PlayStations. I had a PlayStation, but I had never had a chipped one. I did used to have things like the Game Genie cartridge and stuff like that, though, for an N64. And the people used to have to go through that shit trying to break the game for codes. My God. They were special people. Super, super special people. Right, on the hand, let's just do a little scrape, just a little cut down the back, and we'll carry a few on up his bracer as well, as if he's had a scrap against something that really adds some claws. Kind of leave that where it is there, I think. Don't do too much. So you see me constantly washing my brush out to switch between the colours. Obviously this is a very inefficient way of doing it. But we started off the battle damage by doing it this way. Painting both the cut itself and the highlight. So you may as well finish it like that too. And also, I mean, it really does stand out. Especially on the chest piece as well, because it's such a nice wide open bright area of the Mini. To throw that damage in there like we've done really just adds a nice bit of contrast to it. So battle damage, as you can see, super simple, super quick, very, very straightforward, easy to do thing. Without using a sponge and just sort of smashing it on the Mini, because let's be honest, that doesn't really look great. It's just, it never really looks right. You end up with a pattern to things that shouldn't be there. And that's just no good to anyone. Couple of scrapes. We're going to do all of the leg, then we'll come back in and highlight the leg, because the leg is the last part of his main body that needs a bit of weathering. Will most of the chest damage be hidden by the chain pelt thing? It will. But that bit just there will still show through, and some of that might do because of the way that it hangs on. So you've got this little chain, and you can see there's plenty of gaps in there. Sorry, off camera. You see there's plenty of gaps in there. So we might see some of that anyway. It might all be in shadow. But the two bits that are scarred just here, I think will be at about there on this bit of pelt, on this bit of chain. So you'll still see them. It just won't necessarily be so prominent. I always think a Mini is quite nice when it's got a couple of little hidden bits that only a few people are going to notice, but that's kind of half the fun for me of painting a Mini, is throwing in a few bits here and there just to reward a couple of people. It's like telling a joke to an entire room of people that everyone will think is, you know, like, yeah. But the rest of the room, like, won't really get like 3 other guys get. And those 3 guys will fucking roar with laughter. It's like one of those little jokes, like an in-joke. There you go. So, lots of little scrapes, little slashes on the legs if he's been attacked by something small with claws that sort of scraped at his armor a little bit, or maybe the death throes of something just catching him. Get those under highlights. Helps make that battle damage look 3D. So the entire process, either paint on some random patterns with very, very light amounts of brush pressure. You could use an old brush to sort of stipple it on if you're worried about blunting the tip of a brand new brush. It's definitely an option you've got. For things like slashes and scratches, just paint a nice straight line. Mostly because it's easy to get the highlight on. But also, they look as if they've been delivered either violently or with more force. And then just carefully paint a little line underneath each one. Gives you that look of 3D. Mate of mine had a joke like that. He starts with, so Seal walks into a club and that is it. Brilliant. Brilliant. See, those are the best kind of jokes where you know one guy is going to howl his ass off and the rest of the people in the room are like, yeah, sure, I don't really get it. But for that one guy, you're his fucking hero right there. And the harder that one person laughs, the more the rest of the room laughs because they're ashamed they don't get the joke. You know. Maybe he's been to the vets and they forgot to put a plastic cone around his neck. Wow. Wow. Des throwing out the dog jokes. Take that, Raggy. Bitch. Careful, Peckish is going to get really offended, man. He loves his space doggos. Not enough to have Ragnar in, like, perfectly pristine armour, mind you. It's like, no, man, no. Make him have gone through hell and back. Put him on hurt me plenty mode. He's been hurt. Plenty. That's some beating he's taken, man. I did not like the cone of shame. But the cone of shame. Has anyone ever had a human-sized one of those? Is there such a thing? I mean, I can't imagine there being one. Because, you know, like, opposable digits. And yes, these are opposable digits. Not opposable thumbs, which would be like this weird thing you'd have going on with just one hand. So it'd be like one hand where you've got this happening on the other one. That's opposable thumbs. This is opposable digits. The number of times I see them referred to, even in like movies and stuff, as opposable thumbs. Like, no. Ask your mate with the DVDs. Yeah, he's probably got something like that. Oh, I don't want to know. Ugh. I have never wanted a shower more in my life than finishing, like, getting all of his stuff from, like, just one street to another. That was bad enough, but then realizing what you'd been touching, like, no. Fuck you, Luke. Scumbag. You pervert. Weirdo. But still, without having weird friends that have nothing to talk about on stream. Okay. So, speaking of weird friends, this is a great one, this. Some of you may know that in the UK, as of the 4th of July, pubs are now open. As long as you can stay distanced, you know, although how you stay distanced after having a few pints, I'm not entirely certain, but you know, as long as you can maintain social distancing and drink responsibly or whatever, then pubs are now open. So are things like barbers, hair salons, that sort of thing, right? So on the day before that happens, my housemate decides, this is such a dumbass thing to do. My housemate decides, I'm going to go on Amazon and buy some clippers, like a hair trimmer, because Jay cuts his own hair and he manages it every time. So how hard can it be? And he's got a mohawk, he's got to be very careful around, you know. So how hard can it be? Well, Ben, apparently very is how hard it can be. Allegedly, it was going okay until he decided to trim his beard and then cut in quite aggressively on one side, and oh shit, tried to even it out and got that wrong. And kept going until it was stubble. And was like, well, all right, we'll just sort of even out the rest then. And he did a pretty bad job of that. Came downstairs with bits, little patches here and there, looking straight up like an alopecia victim, which I thought was hilarious. So hilarious, in fact, I nearly weed myself. When I suggested to Ben that, you know, you probably want to go and even that out, mate, because it's not going to grow, like that bit's not going to grow slower and the rest will grow faster to sort of catch up, as it were. So you just go and like take the guard off and just even it out. Well, he decided instead that definitely just using a Bic razor was the best way to go. Now, I've bicked my head more than once, both with and without the mohawk. The key to doing it successfully is quite crucially to use a new blade or a new razor. Otherwise, what you end up with is half of your skull in the sink, which is what happened to Ben. And it's taken a couple of days for myself to work out exactly who Ben reminds me of. And today, it finally clicked. I mean, we've made all the Uncle Fester jokes. We've made the jokes of George Dawes, what are the scores? But today it hit me. It actually hit me. This is what Ben looks like. Let me get an image. Right, here we are. This is exactly what Ben looks like. Imagine that in jeans and not shorts, and BAM! That's it. Face is about the same shape. Levels of common sense are about the same. Just imagine Bobby after eating things like cake for breakfast for a substantial length of time, and that's definitely where we're at. So, Jake, honestly, mate, that was a brilliant day. So Jake has been around today. One of the reasons we didn't get Necrons finished is because we were playing our first game of 9th edition 40k. It was so good. So good. Really enjoyed playing it. The rule system is awesome. Cannot fault the rules at all. None of it felt clunky or something that just shouldn't be. It all felt like it was part of the game in the appropriate fashion. I played my Knights against Jake's Orcs, a game we've played many times now. I think I'm about 97-3 in terms of win-loss, but Jake's a very good practice partner. Choosing your secondary, so obviously something that I'm quite used to, playing in the ITC quite a lot. The secondaries in this, I find, though, are a bit fucking weird. Some of them are worth more than others, which means that some secondaries you can't score 15 points out of, and some you really can, and in a very easy fashion. So you really have to think about the secondaries when you're building your lists and make sure you're going to be able to hit 3 of them, any 3 of them, very, very easily. Similar to what they did with the ITC this season, they have made it so you can only take 1 secondary from each category. They have given you 5 categories to choose your 3 secondaries from. So that's kind of nice. I took, because I'm playing Knights, Attrition, which is simply, if you're used to playing ITC, you'll recognise this, kill more. Get kill more, 4 turns, sorted. Because the game only lasts 5 turns, that means you've got your work cut out for you a little bit. You do really need to be getting them kills. You'll notice here on the top, we're doing a circle around each of the bits of battle damage, because you might be able to see that from both sides, so it makes sense too. But yeah, I chose Attrition, so kill more. I chose Line Breaker, which turned out to be not the best secondary for me, because I was a little bit scared of the new Gazgol, who is a beast. Like, I mean, it's no surprise that this guy's on Hurt Me Plenty mode, because goddamn, Gazzy is a fucking monster in the most legitimate sense of the word. Nearly killed a knight in 1 turn. If I'm honest, had Gazzy been wounded enough to get that extra attack, he'd have died. So Linebreaker was scared of Gazzy, didn't go too far forward, and we also chose what was basically Big Game Hunter. Bring it down, or bring them down. That was fun. I thought that was good. Jake usually stacks smasher guns in his army though, so there was a lot of targets to choose from for that. Right, now we're going to go through and we're going to highlight all of the armour panels. So we are at 10:30. This may very well take us to the end of the stream, but it is obviously super, super important. And it is a crucial step in painting a mini. Now, unlike the Heavy Metal team, I'm just going to explain this and we'll go back to talking about the game. I don't paint lines around everything. So let's just paint his foot and I'll show you what I mean. If you look at the box art of any Space Marine, you will notice that every single part of that dude's armour has got a box drawn around it as the edge highlight. Now, edge highlights are really important. They help to define the mini, they help to give it shape and substance, and they also help to make it look cool. And that's the main thing that I want to take away from this, is I want my minis to look cool. I don't necessarily want them to look correct. I don't want someone to stand there and be judging it on its technical merit. And so highlights for me come into 2 different categories. They either come into the category of a common sense highlight, which is this one, just here. Along the top ridge of that part of his foot, it makes sense that there would be a glint of light coming from it. The other category is a rule of cool highlight, and this is where you take a highlight that has no real business being there. And for this, for instance, we're going to take this line right here. This guy's leg is in shadow. There's no reason why there should be a bright highlight right here. But by adding that into the model, it will look cooler. We'll get that definition we were just talking about. We'll get a little extra contrast going on there. So you've got a rule of cool highlight and a common sense highlight. Can anyone else in the chat think of some situations where you'd have a rule of cool highlight? What are the kind of circumstances when you're painting a mini which you find yourself in and go, right, I'm just going to put a highlight here. Technically speaking, it doesn't belong here, but it's going on anyway because I want there to be a highlight. Shout out some answers. So back to the game. Secondaries, great. Cool secondaries. The points, the 10 points for having a fully painted army didn't come into it, and to be fair, even if they had, we'd have ignored them. My army is fully painted. Jake's is fully painted. Unfortunately, he left one of his shock attack gun guys at home, the painted one, which I've seen many, many times. So it did have an unpainted shock attack gun, dude. Didn't matter. We wouldn't have gone in for that. But the final score was 74 to 19. Strong victory for the Knights. Great fun with them though. So Peckish says, when you go from one dark colour to another dark colour, separate the two. Yep. Bit like on here, we've got the dark shadow just in here on the top of his ankle protector. We've got the dark shadow here at the bottom of this section of his shin guard. Shouldn't be a highlight there. We're putting a highlight there. Highlights on face and the deep hoods / wide brimmed hats. Yeah, absolutely. You shouldn't get a bright highlight around things like cheekbones, and maybe the nose you still would, but around the lips and things like that, which are normally a bit more recessed, probably shouldn't get that highlight. But it might make plenty of sense to put it there so you can still keep the definition of the model's face. So that's definitely a rule of cool highlight. The common sense highlights are much, much easier. This little round ankle thing that he's got going on would definitely have a highlight just around the top there. So we'll put one on. This little notched doodad would have a highlight just on the underside of it, same as the battle damage has. So that goes on. Those are common sense highlights. Now, I started off by saying that I don't do things the way the other metal team do things. So, for instance, for there, they'd have drawn a highlight all around this section of his foot. They'd have then drawn a highlight all across that section at his ankle. I don't do that because none of those highlights actually make sense. Nothing in real life has boxes around it when it's lit up. You get a glint at the edges of stuff. You get a glint on sort of creases, on raised areas, but even then it's not usually the entire length of that crease or raised area. So a lot of my highlights stay quite short, like this one for instance. We're not going to do all the way around to there because that makes absolutely no sense, but we will put a highlight on just there. And the reason I do this is because, like I said, none of the things we see in our everyday life behave like that. But also, it's quicker. I want you to imagine, just for a second, that there are a few things that are existing in human life that we see, or some of us see at least, on a regular basis, that have not changed in the entirety of human history. These are animals, perhaps, that have had a perfect evolution. So think about a shark, for instance. There are many different kinds of shark. But as a whole, they haven't changed. In millions of years, as a species, they've undergone no genetic changes. They haven't undergone any mutation. They haven't adapted or had to evolve. They're perfect. Alligators, that's another one. Snakes, they've been around for a fucking long ass time. These are things that are existing in the world that we live in, that have never needed to change or adapt. And the reason behind that is because they don't do anything, they don't have anything that they don't need. Everything that they've got is something that they need for their daily life. So a shark's ability to smell blood in the water and all that sort of thing has come about by this perfect system of evolution. Now, why is that relevant to mini painting? Because now we're talking about the fucking Nature Channel and good old Deep Blue Sea and whatnot. Was it Deep Blue Sea? What was the Attenborough thing? Into the Blue? No, I can't remember. Into the Blue was the Jessica Alba thing. That was something completely different. That's some perfect evolution right there. But the reason I bring this up is because if you take something like a shark from 70 million years ago and you remove a couple of bits it doesn't need till it becomes exactly what it needs to do everything it needs to do perfectly every time, you have this thing that never needs to change. It's that perfect form. So what I've learned to do with highlights, I'm not saying that this is perfect just yet. We've only been doing this for a couple of years. We've still got another 5 million years to perfect this, clearly. We started removing highlights we don't need, leaving just the ones that we do. And if we do that, we end up with a model that looks a lot more natural, We end up with a mini that's not cluttered by these boxes being drawn around stuff. Because only what we need is on the mini. And the way to do it is to put highlights down in the most minimal way possible. Only put down the tiniest amount of paint. Because you can always go back and add to it. If it's not quite enough, just go back in, extend the line, add another line, make it thicker. Whatever you need to do. But by doing it, like I was saying, you get something that tells you all that you need to know about that mini. It's quicker for you, it's better looking for your audience because light behaves a bit more like it should do. There's no magic boxes around things, everything looks good. And that's what I've been trying to do with my highlights, especially on Marines for the last few years. Really get to that point where there's not a single extra line I don't need, and I haven't put on more than I needed. Give it a try. For those of you that are painting a Marine army, it's obviously a really good example, because if you follow the Heavy Metal guide, there's boxes around everything. If you're doing something like Necrons, again, there's a lot of boxes. Just in 40k in general, we've got lots of those really dead straight lines. Boxes. Try doing it without the boxes. See what results you get. And if you do, next week, sometime in the whip, let me know that that's what you try to do. And we'll see if we can spot any lines that you maybe needed to add in, or any lines that you probably didn't need to add in. That's why it's very easy to separate highlights down into common sense highlight and rule of cool highlight. This one obviously is a common sense highlight. Got that break in the armor there, and you would be able to get some light to this area, so that's common sense. This one here is definitely a common sense highlight. It's right near that raised area. It finishes off our greave, shin guard, whatever you want to call it, really nicely. Builds it to a point, like that. This one's kind of a mixture of both, because there shouldn't really be that highlight there, not that long, but there should be a little part of it right down here at the V, so that's kind of got to be there, but that next part that just goes around there doesn't really need to. Top of this ridge on the knee pad rather. Blue planet, that's what I was trying to think of. Blue planet. Deep Blue Sea was a sharp move with Sam Jackson, yes. Yeah, Thomas Jane. Ice Cube, I think. I remember there being a lot of very B-list actors in that film. Into the Blue was the Jessica Alba thing with Paul Walker. LL Cool J, yes, because it was the thing with the parrot, right? It does feature genetically modified sharks, yes. Yes, you're right, that was the worst reference. But Blue Planet, which is what I was going for, and clearly got wrong, that was a good reference. Right, going to do a few more highlights on the feet this side than we did the other side, because I think they're a little bit more exposed here. If it turns out that they're not, we haven't really lost any real time. If it turns out we need to do some more highlights on the other one, we'll do some more highlights on the other one. We are obviously going to be getting our weathering pigment site around these as well, so no need to go crazy with them. Just making them slightly longer. Same as before, under here, we'll get a highlight. So when it comes to highlights, especially edge highlights, paint consistency is key. Make sure your paint flows freely off your brush by making the correct consistency, which for me, as I've said a few times before, the consistency allows your brush to easily pick up the paint, but not so much it deforms the shape of the brush and the bristles that you've got. There you go. Right, a lot of this is going to be hidden, but just for the sake of it, we'll get this highlight in there nice and quick. Definitely need to highlight the top of this. DK, how you doing, man? Good to see you, dude. We're doing well. How about you? Quick highlight under these armour plugs, whatever these may be. And then we'll do one just here. That one may need reinforcing because obviously we've got that little bit of venting to do in his armour, and that sort of thing generally can cause some overspill with paints. We'll just do a vertical line for that, not to do any of the bits around the bottom because we don't really need to. This is what I was talking about a minute ago with making sure you're only putting in the highlights that you need, not every highlight. We're not painting for front cover art, and we don't use the same style as the guys at the Heavy Metal team. Just in case anyone thinks I was throwing shade, I got absolutely no illusions that the guys there are phenomenal painters. It's just not the way that I like to paint. That's it. Everyone should have their own style. All of you guys should have your own style. You should do painting the way you want to paint. Go out there and be you. Don't just copy. Don't even copy me. Take some of the techniques that I use, steal them. They're yours, have them. That's why we do the Twitch. So you guys can learn some of the ways that I paint minis. But I'll never tell you that my way of painting is the only way to paint or even the right way to paint. It's just my way. Your style is shit. Well, I mean, that's just overly self-harsh, but, you know. Different strokes of the brush for different folks. Absolutely. Most of my strokes are air strokes. Airbrush is power, man. Airbrush is power. Not knowledge is power. Airbrush is power. Knowledge just helps. Right, for these, I hate these little vents because they're such an absolute fucker to highlight well. How many people have ever highlighted these and they've been ever so slightly off with their highlights and it just ruins it? I think we've all been there where the highlights maybe not quite thick enough or slightly too thick or slightly too long. It's such an absolute bastard to paint. And frequently they're in irritating places where there's a dude holding a bolt gun just in front. Nobody wants that shit. Come on, GW. That being said, we did manage it. We were okay. We were good. Right, chest. Gonna wash the brush. This is a very important highlight line. So you're just gonna wash the brush out. Just seeing a little bit of paint build up there. How to prevent the bolt gun from being in the way? Sub-assembly. You got it, pal. You got it. If you're Rocky and doggedly, pun intended, doggedly refuse to do sub-assemblies though, it's tricky. It's tricky. So you'll notice we're not going all the way up to the collar. There's no need. We also want a little bit of shadow on this edge by that point. So keeping our highlights super thin. Using the side of the brush technique. Just get in around the edges of his pecs. Now, we probably won't do very much of this line. That's it. As far as we're going to do. So if we go much further than that, we'll have to do the entire of the underside of that. Didn't like that pun, thought it was a bit rough. Sorry, man. You know, sometimes they're clangers. Sometimes my puns look like a dog's dinner. A very chilled weekend. Spent this afternoon watching sports and painting with a girlfriend. Nice, man. Very nice. What are you painting? What you don't want is your lines, your highlights to look like a dog's hind leg. So just make sure you keep everything nice and steady. After all, I mean, especially when you're painting a character mini, and like this is sincere, especially when you're painting a character mini, you want to be aiming for something that could win prizes. So, you know, best in show, top dog, these kind of things. Crufts is a great place to enter minis. Promise you, they're going to get worse. So if you don't like the puns and that, you should just, you know, just embrace it for what it is, people. Right. There you go. So we just got enough of a highlight in there to help bring that much further forward into the foreground than behind. Because we went for a very bright highlight with the airbrush on his chest, we may want to add a little bit more of a brighter colour to this just to give it one extra little bit of a highlight. There is no tumbleweed command because that would be all we'd ever see. Like, my jokes are bad, I am well aware of this. But they make me laugh. And so I'm that one guy in a room full of people that's having the fun time. Let's get his collar. Choke chain. No, wait, there's no choke chain. It's a different mini. That's the Soneshi ones. Let's not forget all these rivets as well. This is one dog whose nuts have not been cut off. Although, aren't Space Marines meant to be like relatively sexless? In which case, I guess Lehman Russ has been neutered. Went to the vet. Snip. Nice, dude. Sounds like a really good day. We'll admit, though, painting the Cadian troops. That's a grind. That is such a grind. Done several Loyal 32s. I'm so glad that doesn't exist anymore. Because no one's ever going to ask me to do a Rusty 17, a Loyal 32, Dirty Mike and the Boys. What were the other throw-in battalion nicknames that anyone knows? What else did we have? The Spiky 17, that was another one. Right, for these elbow pads, I always feel like you actually have to do every line to give it shape. So even with my philosophy of less is more when it comes to highlighting, power armor especially, I still feel you absolutely have to hit all 3 of those lines, plus the top line as well. Spike 17 was the same as Dirty Mike and the Boys. Yeah, Dirty Mike and the Boys was Kenny's name for it. I'm trying to think of what other names we had for battalions of people. Rusty 17 and Loyal 32 were the most common Imperial ones. Dirty Mike and the Boys was your sort of renegade Marines, the Red Corsairs that got the extra CP. Was it Red Corsairs? Pretty sure it was Red Corsairs. Because they were naughty Marines and you had Chaos Marine keyword units in there. Three or 5 Red Corsairs and only 2 Master of Executions. Yeah. I really like that Master of Execution model. I think that was really, really sick. The head, maybe not so much, but overall as a mini, I thought he was cool as. Right, just doing a little bit of a highlight, just on the edge of that glove. We're not following that line all the way around. It's going to be hidden under a shoulder pad, so there's literally no point in me painting that. But just for a little bit that you can see, we'll do it. Quick highlight on both of these sides. Again, fully expect some of that to be painted over when we're putting in the venting. Right, for the glove, let's get a small highlight here on the underside. Much larger highlight here on the top side. Go almost all the way around. We'll do this line. Sound Booth Metalhead. That's a cool name for a start. For the wolf, he says. Absolutely. Sort out my head for that intercessor head with scar in his eye. Read it. Yeah, that was a good one. Oh, God, excuse me. Sorry, I've been working office work all weekend. Oh, it was a long day yesterday. As you can probably tell from my eyes that look really, really done by. And then we were up at 7:45, getting on it again today. Managed to get it all done by lunch. Got a game in with 9th edition. Loved it. So happy with 9th edition. Even the terrain. Absolutely buzzing over that. Big fan. You know what didn't come into the game very much? The terrain. Despite the fact we had a full table worth of terrain. Loads of it blocked line of sight. We had the old foreground ruins and buildings set out, plus a couple of stacks of crates. That was it. Crates in the foreground ruin buildings, the sort of city terrain that they do. That's some really, really cool terrain if you don't mind splashing out a little bit. Big fan. Big fan of that. Right, let's do, just for no reason, but just in case we see it, that. Let's also do the inside of this collar. So making sure we leave some of that darker blue-grey colour between these two highlights. That's super important. You just see in there, you might be able to see there those two highlights. It's going well, dude. It's going really well. How about yourself? Kareem, are you going to the LBO? This This is a big question. We've got a moth that's dive bombing me. If you see a Tyrannid on screen, it is just a moth, so don't worry. This magnification will look huge. Way. Haven't got a ticket. Are you planning on going? Hecking Pickle, thank you for that follow. Welcome to the stream, Matt. Tell me that we're bang on 11 o'clock. Still semi-considering it. Okay, man. Because I'm going with Nick McDade, who you, I believe, met at the team event in Cardiff with myself and Simon. Mark Crumbleholm, currently myself. And we've got 3 people to try and share 2 rooms. So we're trying to find a 4th so we can fill all the beds and cut the cost a little bit. So let me know if you'd be interested, dude. We're staying in Paris Hotel, which is right next door to Bally's, but you just go through a little underground walkway, little corridor, which I believe is actually also a sort of shopping centre, which is crazy, right? But you know, whatever. And we're staying from Tuesday to Tuesday. So you've got a couple of days before the event, see Vegas, chill out for a bit, have some fun. Why the fuck is someone sending me a Teams message at 2 minutes past fucking 11 on a Sunday night? There better not be a problem. No. Fuck you, woman. God almighty. Fair enough, dude. Fair enough. I totally get that. We've made sure that everything we've booked is completely okay to cancel till like the day before. So we're alright. Very much not wanting to lose a load of cash for the sake of losing a load of cash. Oh, cheers for that follow, dude. Right, that's all of the edge highlighting for Ragnar's body. This guy has clearly been well through the wars. Now let's do things like the hand, the backpack, and we'll just do it quickly before I forget. This one tiny bit of armor plate he's got here. Just a very fast edge highlight. And then that one's done. Bam. Sorted. We'll do the backpack now because I actually hate painting Primaris Marine backpacks. Don't know why they annoy me so much, but they really irritate me. To be honest, I never really like painting normal marine backpacks either, so it's not like it bothers me much more than a regular backpack, but I think it's to do with the round, like, power pack cover that they've got going on up here. That just annoys me a lot. I don't know why. I think it's because there's no really good way of highlighting it. You can try doing just the indents where the 4 like nuts are and stuff like that. You can try doing a little bits around it. It just never quite looks right. Get all these little widgets that are sat around it. Give them a highlight. You need to do it after you've done that pin wash, because you're never going to be 100% accurate with something that small. So it's got to be done. It's just, ugh. Ugh. Alright, don't forget, guys, exclamation point Judy, Judi, and exclamation point score, SKOR, to vote on the colour schemes that you would like our Scorpeth Lord and Judicia raffle minis to be painted in. The winners of that raffle on the release weekend of the Indomitus box set will not only win that mini painted, So out of the Judicia, all that score petal ore, you'll not only win those in the colour scheme voted for by the community, but you'll also win the rest of that box brand new on sprue. You've got another... We'll run this till pre-order day, so you've got another week to vote on that chapter. So you got another week to enter that before we change to our last possible straw poll, which will be about how we're going to base these guys. So, a couple of obviously good choices being the jungle scheme that we did recently on those Nurgle Demons and that Imperial Fist. Things like the desert / Mars bases, they always look good, especially against minis that will be dark colours. Southbound Metalhead says, I'm upset about having my Ragnar fully built before painting him. Going to be a pain to paint. Yes, mate. Yes, he will. Especially the face as well. There's so much expression on that guy's face. We'll probably do an entire stream just painting that. I don't often get to paint faces, because for my own army, I insist that every miniature is wearing the fucking helmet that they're meant to have on. Because why in God's name would you go out to battle without your fucking lid on? But also my main army is Imperial Knights, which obviously have very few flesh faces. Some would say maybe one. That's it. Use the glow-in-the-dark tufts on the Lozocrons. What glow-in-the-dark tufts? Way down helmet. The Emperor can only protect so much. Yes. Oh, have they? Oh. You know, I said I'd be doing something. It's like a world first reveal on like Tuesday. I wonder what it could be. I have no idea what that might be. Stay tuned, guys. Like I said, this is something that literally does not exist outside of Rival Crafts. Sarah has not found it. She double checked to see if anyone was making these. No one was making these. So the only place you'll be able to get them is from Rival Crafts or from this stream where we're going to give some away. So if you like things like your like black light paint, if you've got like some neon paint scheme you want to do, that's definitely something that go real well with it. Glow-in-the-dark tufts. We're going to paint a scenic base as a radioactive wasteland. It's going to be pretty epic. It'll be pretty epic. So, that is that little vent on top of the backpack, which is always a pain in the butt to paint, but we managed to get that one done pretty tidily. Just got a few quick lines to do here. Always make sure you get these things at the top. I think they're designed to help hold down this this hatch or whatever, but make sure you get a highlight on those, because they're normally one of the things that the highest on a mini. Obviously sometimes you get swords and things being held aloft, gun barrels pointed upwards and stuff that would be higher, but certainly for an edge highlight for the armor, they're right up there. So that's all the backpack sorted. Now we've just got the hand to do. That's it. That's so good. That's like an adult chocolate milkshake with coffee in it. Super, super tasty. Right, we've got 10 minutes or so before we go into the whip, so exclamation point Discord, head on over to the work in progress gallery, upload some pictures of minis that you've been working on. We didn't get time to do this last stream because we were doing all the airbrushing, and once we started we kind of wanted to finish. So tonight, don't miss out. Get them pics chucked in there. Let's have a look, see what you've been working on whilst I've been doing Raggy's armour. If you're new here, you should definitely join Discord anyway. We're getting a relatively active group of people over there. Always good. It's nice to see. And especially with a new game, new rules, there's going to be loads of people there to bounce ideas off of. Gonna be good. So for fingers, we're basically just painting each one with this phalanges. For things like the thumb, because you've got a larger area, let's try and do an actual highlight on it. You've got the room, so you may as well, right? Okay, let's get one just here, like so. Happy days. So that's all the armor done. So we've covered how to do pin washing and why that's important. You can see the difference between each of the armor plates now in a lot more detail because that's gone in there. We used a mixture of both dark tones, so a black wash, and strong tones, so a dark brown wash, to get a really, really dark brown going into these recesses. We then did some battle damage, which didn't take long at all. That probably was the quickest element of all the things we've done tonight. Battle damage probably only took about 25 minutes for the entire model, explaining it as we go, painting all of that in and making it look really nice and 3D. Big, big fan of some of that on a mini. Worth taking the extra time. And again, for that we used the dark brown, because if it's black, it's usually too dark and stands out just a little too much. But by using a brown, it helps keep it kind of muted, helped work in with the fact that we use brown for our washes as well. So loads of cool stuff going on there. Then we did the armor edge highlights, and we talked a little bit about rule of cool highlights and also common sense highlights, the way that I like to highlight things, just to be sure that we're not just following the box out, we're not doing that heavy metal, draw a box around everything, we're going for that perfect evolution of a highlight. Only what you need, nothing that you don't. So I think Raggy is looking pretty damn sweet right now. There's loads of detail left to do, and that will be on the next stream that we paint some more of Ragnar. If we zoom out a top now, see how far we've come. We've got obviously his cloak, which is super, super red against that cold blue. We've got things like the sword and his shoulder pad looking really vibrant, very bright yellow-orange. And then obviously we've got things like the pelts left to do. So for the next stream, Wolfwraith, how you doing, man? For the next stream, we are going to be doing that secret new release, which is secrets out, I guess. Glow-in-the-dark tufts from Rival Crafts. They look really cool. We're going to do a sort of toxic sludge wasteland base. You could use it for anything, but we're going to use it specifically to show off these new glow-in-the-dark tufts. We're also, on the next stream that we do Ragnar, they're going to be working on all of the fur. So I will show you guys how to dry brush. You guys all know I don't dry brush. Ever. Really. On the channel. Because I don't like the effect it gives. But for some things, it works really well. I'm going to use some dry brushing technique on the fur because it's a great place to put some dry brushing. So as a result, I'll show you guys how to dry brush properly. It's not slapping a brush against a mini. That's not the way that works. Danbrook, how you doing, man? Hey, I'm still here. Mohawks exist. If you think we're leaving it as a dry brush, think again. That dry brush is just going to be there to give us a mid-tone, and that's it. So that's due to come. Once we've done that, we've got things like metallics and some details, and then this guy will start looking really, really sharp. I can't wait to get to do his base, though. We're going to be putting out a frozen, sort of rocky pool of water. It's going to be super, super sick. Super, super sick. And then, of course, we've got maybe the most important stream, How to Paint Faces Ragnar edition. This guy's got such a lot of expression on that face. I can't wait for that. What's happening on his Twitch, mate? Nothing. Nothing really. Just did some painting. Did some battle damage. Instead of dry brushed 2 elements of the mini. And then people are like, wait, hold on. What is this? Right, let's head over to Discord. Just got to mess up Sarah about the about this. That was good, man. Very cool. Right, let's head over to the whip. This was today. Here we are. Big old moth flying through the kitchen right at my face then. Right. Very pretty. Anyway, moving on. This was from today's stream. Crazy Yank. So I killed Calgar and a captain. This is a cool conversion though, dude. This is a cool conversion. I like it, man. So this is the Gravis Captain wannabe, clearly. He's got his Boltstorm Gauntlet. Got his Mastercrafted Power Sword. That is a big-ass moth. That's like this big. One chunky boy. I think it's good, dude. I think all your stuff that you've done for this Imperial Fist Army is good. It's very functional. Does the job well. Can't complain, mate, at all. Was the Moth in J stream? I think it might have been in the background at least at one point. Okay. Next shot from the side. I like it. The bolt gun, like the thing on the underslung part of the gauntlet, could do with just a little bit more detail, a bit more definition into it. You've lost some of the edges there. Stopped being quite so crisp, which is a shame. But that's the only part of the mini that I sort of looked at and gone, yeah, I think that could do with an extra little touch. Overall, dude, I think it looks great. Oh, and actually, some of your pink highlight there is a little bit on the thick side on the cloak. The sword, you and I can both see. There's an ever so slight issue with that central line. But they're an absolute bastard keeping them straight. So, you know, just keep going, keep doing what you're doing. They're good, dude. They're good. If you want to be able to mask the sword line, you could paint in some lightning. So you've got a load of very thin, and that's important. Got to keep your paint consistency very thin as well. You've got a lot of thin, very jagged lines around it. It helps disguise the fact that it isn't so straight. Bit of a cheat. People think you've done it for extra detail, but you kind of haven't. He's good though, dude. He is good. Awesome work as always, mate. Right, Dallas Still. I have no idea what this mini's from, but I really like it. I love that blue. That's an awesome blue. So look, the thing there to look for is the really crisp shadows that he's got in there. So you look at the creases at the front of her shirt around the stomach area, and you've got this really nice crisp edge highlight, and then these really blocked out deep shadows, and they're brilliant. They absolutely make that paint job on that shirt 100%. I only paint on A2 or bigger for art school, so small stuff I only do on minis. Fair enough, dude. Fair enough. I have painted hundreds of power swords now, so it's one of those things that still takes concentration, still takes focus, and occasionally still goes a little bit wrong, but we've had a lot of practice just getting that line in. I think this is awesome, man. That is still, if you're here, great job so far. Still a bit more to go. Flesh tone's looking great though. I really, really love that blue. Crazy Anked. Some art school stuff. Cool. I'm not going to zoom in on that because obviously Twitch being what it is, then that may cause some issues. These are cool. This is Maladeus. So yellow and blue color scheme. Gotta love that. Absolutely gotta love that. Dude, how you doing? You are late, but don't you worry. I like these, man. You could probably do with some slightly darker shades here and there. So we did a lot of pin washing this evening, right? We took Raggy and we did those lines all around every single piece of armor. We made sure we used a high contrast color, that really dark browny black. Some of the elements of the armor on this guy, the one that's facing us right now, on his chest plate, you're not quite seeing everything there that you could do. So maybe that's worth just sort of nipping in there with a darker wash and just lining it out a little bit. I need color ideas for the details. I think your color scheme is fine, man. Like, really, I wouldn't change anything. The axis being yellow as well is a bit odd, I'm not going to lie. But I like it, it's fine. It's just making sure you're getting the most out of the detail on the mini is what I'm suggesting. Overall though, mate, good work. Get those darker shadows in there, see what you think. Just do one small bit on a mini, let it dry so it doesn't... It's not still gloss, just let it dry, put it down, wait for it, come back to it and see what you think. And I'm pretty sure you'll think, actually, that's something that I should definitely do to the rest of the mini. And it does take time, but any effort that we really put into a mini that's worth doing takes time. But I love the colour scheme, mate. Chaos Warriors in yellow and blue, you don't see that. And look at that shield. Damn, man, that is a bright-ass shield. That's cool. The Omnissiah is here. The Omnissiah follows me? Dude, thank you for that follow and welcome to the stream. I like him though, man. Genuinely, I do. The paint you've used on the shield, if I'm being picky, is a bit thick. You can see the brush strokes, so just thin it down a lot more than you have and just keep glazing it on there. It'll take a while to get that smooth blend, but it'll be worth it. Even just 20 minutes or so, just get a load of them with shields lined up, glaze one. By the time you've hit the 10th, the 20th, whatever, by the time you've hit that, the first one's bone dry, go through it again, and you just even out that fade, and it'll smooth it through from one to the other. But they're good, mate. They are good. Keep them up. Keep them going. Right, Crown Blade. Git. Cool. Very cool. I love the one with the fishing rod looking thing. The little squig herder. That's awesome. Dan Brook, yellow is secretly easy to paint. That's what Kenny told me. I just tell everyone it's a piece of piss, but I'm English, so that's kind of the words we use. I love painting yellow though. Like painting the yellow on Ragnar, that's just such a nice yellow as well. That Space Wolf right there. Great yellow. Can't argue. But these are great, dude. Love the squig. Very nice purple. I really like the sculpt for the guy on the left. Very nice. Oh, here we go. It's kicking off now. Squig Riders. I think you could probably bring the highlights up on the squigs a little bit more, because they're very purple, but it's also quite a dark purple, and it's difficult to see the highlights. I can see some here and there, so you've obviously done the work, but I think I'd probably just go a little bit further. Either that or really try and find a way of making those shadows super, super dark. Because everything else you've got in this image, and every other part of the squig, looks a lot more 3D, looks like it's got a lot more going on with it. But the flesh tones for the squig, which make up quite a large part of each of these models, just looks a little flat. Not a lot, but it's not quite so in the foreground as you'd want it. So don't be afraid to go a little bit extreme. Remember, these are very fantastical creatures. They probably don't obey the laws of nature at all. So having a very bright highlight wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing. But obviously don't go too far too fast, because it will look very, very jarring. Overall though, mate, I like it. I love the colour scheme. I just think that one extra highlight will really help. Oh, here we go. These are cool. These are some river trolls, right? Which I'm guessing are plastic now, because they never used to look like that. And with these as well, I think you've got the same issue. You've got a blue that is quite dark inherently. You've got it surrounded by darker colours as well. If you want to keep the grim mood of them and keep them all quite dark, then that's great. Just make the highlights that you put on there, and again, I'd go up one more level, you highlight. Just keep them really thin and really refined. So that the technique we were talking about earlier on today of only adding the absolutely necessary highlights and none other, that perfect evolution of a highlight, I would take to the extreme here and only get a few and only small thin highlights at that. If you did it around like the eyes, so the guy in the middle with the weapon up like this, did it around the eye and a little bit up the forehead. If you did it on the tips of his knuckles, the nose, just a few little highlights here and there, I think you'd find it would go a long way to just drawing out a little bit more detail from the minis that you've got. Again, great colour scheme. I love the minis. I love how you've kept it dark, but just on a few areas, just bring it up a little bit. Right, Wolfwraith, still early, but Mumra the no fucking way. No way. No way, dude. Holy shit. I haven't seen Thundercats since I was like 10. Fucking hell. Is this a 3D sculpt or an action figure or what? What's the deal here, man? You tell me about it. Good God. I remember having a Thundercats colouring book as a kid and loving the fuck out of it. I was so happy. I had Thundercats and I had Transformers colouring books given me for Christmas, and that was all I wanted in the world at that point. To sit down and colour. 3D prints and over 20cm tall, not including base. Damn, man. Damn. I mean, why would you not, though? Right. Nice. Everyone's favourite Thundercat. Everyone's got one. For me, it was Pantero, because of the one time in the entire series, I think, where little spikes on his armour straps just shot out, and like I love this guy. He's amazing. Fair enough, Fish. Say no more, please. Right, Kareem, here we go. Back working on this dude. I like to see he is all in one piece again. Those of you that weren't here last stream, there was a terrible tale of Kareem dropping this guy. Going, oh, where's he gone? Crunch. It was a roller coaster ride for us all emotionally, and I, for one, thought it was not funny at all. He's good, man. He is good. I'm going to give you almost the same advice I've given a few times over the last couple of shows, which is to do with shadows and recesses. Jet376, thank you for that follow and welcome to the stream. It is a bit wonky. It's not that wonky. It is a little bit wonky, but it's okay. It's okay. On this guy's faceplate, you've got this bright white faceplate, and it just bleeds into the little surround that goes around it. So just get in there with a quick bit of wash and just tidy that line up a bit. Get some delineation between the two, and it'll snap into focus a lot more. The yellow is great, mate. Absolutely great. The shadows, again, are what make it. I think you've even done the shadows on the gold part of the chest piece as well, because last time that looked a little bit like it had bled in. That looks a lot more clear now. It's good, dude. It is good. Yeah, big fan. Big fan. Like it a lot, mate. Keep going. Get a nice, solid, scenic base with this guy going on. He's going to look really, really impressive. Hellstorm Brookie. More custards. So I saw these on your Instagram. I think your wash has been a little heavy in places, mate. And I feel like a shithead saying that, because I know you're really proud of them, so please don't take that in a really negative way, because overall I really like the minis, but that guy at the very front, if you look at his shoulder pad, the one that he's looking at, so on the mini it would be his right shoulder, the one left as we look at it. Some of the cells for those like eagle's wings, they're really, really dark, and then there's a highlight. It's a little bit too much, and I think all it was, this is unfortunate, but it happens very easily, especially on this. I think all it is a little bit that your wash just pulled in those resources a little bit too much. Maladeus is completely correct. You could turn it into some verdigris. But I really like them, mate. I like the black inset you've got for the shoulder pads. I think that looks really, really cool. There's a special custode chapter for that, right? And I think that's really good. I like the fact you've gone green for the gems and stuff, because that really stands out against gold. Like, in such a nice way as well. Everything about them I love, but it's just, I think you could probably go back in and just glaze out a few of those shadows where you've just had that issue with the wash a little bit. And this really highlights, no pun intended, why when you are applying washes to things, you need to be vigilant about what's going on. You can't just slap it on, especially with an acrylic wash, come back later on and find, this has happened. But to fix it, if you take the mid-tone that you would be there and just glaze in to some of those, it'll help a lot. I didn't see any in this picture with purple cloaks, but I have seen some on your Instagram feed with purple cloaks, so I didn't want to mention it in case there's another picture later on where we then talk about it. But yes, the purple and gold, mate. I've seen it a lot on custodes. Totally seen it a lot on custodes, but it's a good combination. Right, Danny /rprint1. Get his bone boys going on. Looks like a bit of an early whip. Go with some black for the armour. Nice, that'll stand out quite a lot. see some crazy looking sub-assemblies in the background. Is that little clamps and shields perhaps, or bits of their armour panel? Don't know. I do really like these minis though. Mate, I paint a lot of purple. It goes into everything so well. That's the problem. Purple OSL all over the Necrons. Purple for the Custodes. There was not a trace of it on the Wraith Lord. There was magenta on the Nurgle. But yeah, purple comes up a lot. To go with Nagash, hey mate, absolutely my pleasure. I didn't realise Nagash could go with these guys. I thought they were slightly separate undead, but awesome. Oh, we got the new Inquisitor lady with the Shuriken Catapult that's better in every way than an Eldar Shuriken Catapult. Right? There's not a couple of Eldar salty boys about that anywhere, I'm sure. There's loads. So many. Tote's not heresy. Auto Xenos, it's okay. They know they're breaking the rules, but don't give a fuck, which is the important part. Oh, and what's this? This is one of the spellcasting dudes from the Bone People. I clearly know my Sigmar, as you can definitely tell. Spellcasting dudes from the Bone People. I stand by this comment. Nice, Chief. Have fun painting that. Alright, IX Tab. Not much done. Love this mini. Is this a Zote? It is. Oh, I want to paint this guy. He's very cool. I like the green. I really do. Yeah, man. He's just sick. He's a very, very cool mini. Obviously loads to do. Here we go. Look at that base. Very nicely done. Lots of glazes in there, you can see. Building those colours up. The base is doing your nut. Yes, mate. I've done a complete Blackstone Fortress set, plus the Traitor Command set and the Amble set. So I've painted a lot of those bases by hand. It is rough. It is rough. It's a bit of a work to do. But they look cool. They do look cool. You've taken a lot of time. You've done the extra mile on this, getting those sort of cracks in the floor and all that as well. So fair play to you, man. I think with mine I put down a gloss varnish just to help get the blends through a little bit, because it is tricky to do. It really is. You've done well though. Here we go. Danny again. Oh, they look cool. Let's get a little bit more zoomed in to that. Alright, that's nice, man. That is nice. Trying to work out if your blue is a little bit thin in places, or whether that's just a photo. It's a slightly odd satiny finish that's slightly more satin than a lot of the other GW stuff. What have you painted your shield with, dude? Was a bit. Is this contrast? I don't know if it is or not anymore. I like the colour scheme. That kind of like teal turquoise goes quite well. It's going to give you a nice little bit of brightness. You've got the darker blue. You've got that kind of almost purple right at the bottom. The turquoise is pterodon contrast. Okay. Nice, dude. I like the colour scheme, but on that large flat area of blue, I'd probably just glaze in a coat over the top of that, just to even it out. It won't take long at all. It's one of those things that you've just got to do, though. Otherwise, you'll notice it every time. Your opponents probably won't, especially when there's an army laid out in front of them. They genuinely won't see it, but you will. And it'll, a little bit, each time, niggle you a little bit more, and you'll... So just do it. While they're off the mini and they're easy to do, just do it. Bust them all out, job done. Right, I think that's it for our whip today. Yeah, we're done. So, let's go back and have a quick recap over what has gone on tonight. Firstly, we have revealed the first of our 3 minis for the giveaway this month. Exclamation point mystery in the chat for a little bit more information about that. The Blood Bowl Minotaur is back in the running for the giveaway prize. I really want to paint this guy. Rocky really wants to win this guy. Obviously, great for Blood Bowl. Loads of teams that he goes into. Could be used for Sigma. Could be used for things like D&D campaigns. There's loads of cool reasons to just have this dude anyway. That, and I really, really want to paint it. It looks fucking lush. We know, as the mystery box was not chosen last time, that the mini that's in here is exactly the same as it was. This could be anything from limited edition minis to brand new minis. Could be something that's unreleased currently. Probably not by the time this box is opened, but who knows? Could be scenery. It could be a scenic base. It could be box that size, an Armiger. I'm the only person that knows what's in this box. It's no longer the cigars that were in it, because they were so good. But that's up for grabs. Not the box itself, that's mine. The mini inside is up for grabs. Or the Minotaur. Next Sunday, we'll work out what the 3rd and final mini in this month's exclamation point mystery giveaway is going to be. Last month's mystery giveaway was Ragnar Blackmane, and recently we painted all of the yellow, we painted all of the red, and all of the armor panels, and today we even carried on with the armor panels and got some battle damage down. So we did loads of fairly realistic looking battle damage, very 3D effects. Without using chipping medium, without using sponges, we painted that on by hand and showed you a very simple set of ways how to do that. It doesn't take long at all. It takes about 25 minutes to do the entire mini. That includes obviously things like the backpack and so on as well. Next stream, we're going to be doing something very cool with a as yet unreleased Rival Crafts set of products. These are the only ones of these products that you will find anywhere. Sarah has researched it and nobody else makes these. But I will be doing a scenic base using glow-in-the-dark tufts. We're going to make a sort of radioactive wasteland base right here on stream. I'll show you how to paint it. We'll get it all done nicely looking. And then we'll have some glow-in-the-dark tufts. Once that's on there, obviously we're going to do the only thing that's responsible to do. We'll kill the lights and we'll watch it glow. So tune in on Tuesday night live at 9 o'clock where we're going to do that scenic base, and we'll even give away some of these glow-in-the-dark tufts as well. Hopefully we'll see you there. Otherwise, tomorrow I'll be on the Hellstone Wargaming stream on Twitch where Mikey and I paint every Monday. So tune in there. No idea what we're doing yet. I might be painting planes. Might be painting orc planes in white. Who knows? Who knows? For now, though, let's head over to Twitch. Let's see who is still streaming. There's got to be at least somebody. He's going for another 15 minutes. Let's get in there. Give this guy a raid. It is Scenery Sunday for Studio J7. When we get there, give this man some love. This guy's an epic streamer here. Absolute boss. Why Orc Planes? because the client wants white orc planes. Just does. Just does. See you guys tomorrow at 6 on the Hellstorm stream, 9 on Tuesday here. Peace out, everyone.
I've tried to do this with wowzers. Mohawks coming in as well. I'm just gonna leave this standing here because there's not enough Eldar on there's not enough Eldar on Twitch. Mohawk, that's and Des as well. Mohawk, how are you, my friend? Wow, we got. Isn't no one else streaming in miniature painting tonight? This is like the 4th raid or something this evening. Many, 4th or 5th, 4th, possibly 5th raid. Datsun dog, another Datsun. Got Datsun dead, Datsun Des, and Datsun dog. You loving your Datsuns? Nothing wrong with a good Datsun. Who doesn't love a fair lady? But Mohawk, my friend, how are you? Is there literally no one else on Twitch? No one else streaming. Jan came in. Subway Studios came in. This Be Wallace came in. There's some craziness. No one else seems to be. I've just looked at my following stream, and according to this, Mohawks, you're on your stream starting soon. It must be a pretty quiet night. But anyway, welcome in everyone from Mohawk stream. Datsun Dog and Karimazoid. Thank you both for those follows. Still people carrying on with the 4th of July celebrations. This is true. Well, our celebrations for July are the end of the month. Our celebrations will be the end of the month. Doodah Day. Oh, the people's Twitch names are so. I love some of them. They just have me in stitches. Doodah Day. Also, thank you very much for that follow. Welcome in. Happy Sunday. If you've not been to this channel before, my name is Studio